If you're a student and have a class presentation coming up, or you're hosting an event, or have your vivas, or any form of oral examination, this video will help. We're going to break this up into 3 parts. Now, when it comes to public speaking, there are just 3 things you need to know about: your communication, your subcommunication, and your mindset. Communication is about the words that you're using. Subcommunication is how you're delivering those words. And the mindset is the confidence and attitude aspect of your speech. So let's dive in. Starting off with communication. Now, this is of course the most important thing because it's the words you're going to be using while presenting. Now, of course, the content depends on the type of presentation you have and everything like that. But one of the most obvious things to do is to practice for your presentation. Now, this is something that you know that you need to do, but a lot of people don't do it, so make sure you do. But assuming you have that basic point down, there are a couple of things you can keep in mind with regard to making the content even better. The very first thing is your speech opening. Most class presentations, when they start off on a very bland note. For example, if your topic is something like world hunger, don't just come on and say, "Hey, my name is Radeep, and today we're going to be talking about world hunger." Instead, you want to use a hook. A hook is something that grips your audience in from the very beginning so that they're engaged through the rest of the presentation. So let's take the same example of world hunger. Watch how this TED speaker called Jamie Oliver opened his TED talk.
Sadly, in the next 18 minutes when I do our chat, 4 Americans that are alive will be dead through the food that they eat.
In this case, the speaker revealed a shocking fact from the very beginning. If you don't have a fact, you can also start with a simple question. Watch how this speaker opens his speech with a simple yet intriguing question.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions?
I'm linking down an article that we've written with 50 speech opening line ideas. Check them out for inspiration. Now, the second aspect of your communication that you want to keep into account is avoid reading out your content. Most of the class presentations that we've come across, the student is standing there reading from the slides. And that's the fastest way to kill engagement. Instead, whatever your presentation is, you want to remember that you want to separate your slides with your script. Don't keep both the same. And in case the professor is asking for more information, you can give a handout for that itself. In cases where that's not allowed, you want to follow the point of showing 1 point at a time. This simply means that if you have 3 points to show, don't show all 3 points in the same slide at the same time. Just show the first point and leave space for the second and third point, then show the second point so you have the first and second in the same frame, and then move on to the third. That way the audience is moving along with your speech instead of getting ahead of themselves and not listening to you. Lastly, you want to try and add an element of storytelling. Even if you're giving a presentation about something technical, try to give your own experience or an experience that you've heard of from somebody else and try to sprinkle that within your presentation. Even if the story is just a few sentences long, it helps increase the engagement value and memorability of whatever it is that you're saying. Second aspect is the subcommunication. Now, subcommunication is not about what we're saying, but how we're saying it. And there are 2 parts we're going to discuss here: your voice and your body language. When you combine good content with voice modulation and good non-verbal communication, you have a powerful presentation. So let's start with voice. A lot of the times, because we are nervous, when we come on stage, we automatically start talking like this. Hey, my name is Radeep and I'm going to be talking to you about climate change. And I want to say that a lot of aspects of industrialization and overpopulation are ruining our planet. Now, regardless of the content, that's not going to be the most engaging thing to listen to. Instead, you want to follow the PDP principle. PDP stands for pop, drop, and pause. Simply means we pop some words up, we drop some words down, and we pause before or after other words. Let's take that same sentence for example. Instead of saying it in the same bland way, we can add PDP. Industrialization and overpopulation are ruining our planet. An additional bonus over here is that when you pause and speak, your ability to recollect your points vastly improves and reduces your chances of blanking out. So that's voice. And second is your body language. There are 3 things you need to consider over here, starting off with gesticulation or the use of your hands. Now, there are many different types of hand gestures you can utilize. Here are 3 simple ones for you to keep in mind. One is the comparison. It's the this or that gesture. Today we're going to be talking about our goals and our challenges. Second is the sweep, which is there to exaggerate a particular point. And the third gesture is the chop, which is used to highlight a particular point. Now, if I use these three gestures along with voice modulation in a sentence, here's what it would sound like. Industrialization and overpopulation are ruining our planet. Second aspect about body language is movement. Try to move around a lot more when you're speaking instead of just standing still. At the same time, you don't want to constantly be pacing about and not stopping to move at any point. Instead, you want to either move during a sentence or between two sentences, but don't overlap those points. And the third aspect is your eye contact. Don't just look at the professor, look at everybody in the audience. And in case you're finding that a little challenging, here's how we can tackle it with regard to the mindset aspect of this video. Now, when it comes to our mindset, of course, we want to be confident when we're speaking out, but that's easier said than done. Now, I want to address this point because I've seen a lot of students take anxiety medication without the guidance of a medical practitioner before they go on stage. Do not do that unless a doctor has advised you to do so. Instead, try these simpler means out because they are effective. The first point we already addressed, the more you know your content inside out and the more you practice it, the less nervous you will be. Number two is box breathing. Box breathing is a technique that's practiced a lot in yoga, which is there to bring your nerves down and relax your body. It basically works like this. Imagine a square and imagine a line going up one side of the square where you breathe in. Then imagine the line coming sideways where you hold that in breath. Then the line comes down where you breathe out. And finally the box gets completed where you again hold the out breath. You do that about 10 to 20 times. It'll help you calm yourself down so you can deliver your talk clearly. And number three, let's get back to the point of eye contact. If you're someone who's feeling nervous with so many eyes looking at you, you want to avoid staring back into their eyes because that can make you blank out. Instead, if it's a large enough classroom, look at the back, at the very back of the classroom, and look between the chairs of where people are sitting. That way you'll have no pressure of maintaining eye contact. You can focus a lot more on your content, but you will still give the illusion that you're maintaining eye contact. And finally, the fourth point to help you speak calmly is to reduce your WPM. WPM stands for words per minute. And if you're feeling nervous and speaking fast at the same time, it's going to make us stumble over our words and increase our chances of blanking out. We want to consciously slow down our pace so that the content is more structured and the chances of us blanking out despite nervousness can reduce. Last thing, keep in mind that the more you go on stage, the better you will become. So if you have a presentation and you're nervous about it, just know that every time you do it, it'll get easier and easier because familiarity breeds comfort. And in case you want to understand some more tips on how to tackle stage fright, we've made an entire video on that, which you can check out right here.